Joining us now on the Buyers Barricades guest line, head football coach of the UTSA Roadrunners, Jeff Traylor, joining us. Coach, you've been doing some media last couple of days between the coaching convention here with the High School Coaches Association up in Dallas. I've got to ask, first question, man, you decided to go without a hat today up there in Dallas. That was a little unusual.
I was so disappointed that my whole goal at the THSCA was I would not do anything to get me like on Barstool Sports. And when I get my coaching cap on, I just feel like I'm in the locker room, and sometimes I speak in ways I shouldn't, Jason. So I thought today, if I took my cap off, and I'd feel like I'm more in church, and I knew there's no chance I would say anything that would get me in trouble. So I try to remind myself to behave better in the moment.
Well, Jeff, I don't know what got you on Barstool or what they said about it, but I thought everything you said Sunday or at the coaches, whenever that was absolutely spot on.
Well, my daughter didn't like it that I said girly helmets, so That's not a good thing. I should not have done that. I had to apologize to her, and I probably should have used a better word than that. And I got to remember that, sometimes the D word or the A word is not appropriate. And you forget you're getting filmed, right? You think you're talking to 15,000 Texas high school football coaches, and you forget some of that stuff gets out, and your mama sees you on Twitter, and you said a wordy dirt, and then you're going to get your butt in trouble. So I tried to behave more today. But then they asked me what I thought about being picked second today, and I'm like, well, it's sure better than my first year where we were picked dead last when I got in the Conference USA. I'm like, dadgummit, I've already messed up again, Jason.
Coach, keep doing it. And what you said the other night, and I tweeted it, it was great. It was honest. What did tough people do? And we talked about it yesterday on the show, and I said, I wonder if Coach knew that, this was out, but I appreciate what you said because I think it was 100% honest and authentic, and that is what makes Jeff Traylor.
Well, I do, but you guys know me better, so you know my heart and you know what I really mean. If you don't really know me, sometimes from a distance, it seems like it's just too much. So no cap today. Dr. Compost was even like, what the heck is going on here? She wanted my cap. So no cap today.
And you wore a tie today, Coach.
The second time. Well, I did it for my interview for her as well. Maybe third time. Cool tie, though. It was a Roadrunner tie.
It was.
And it was supposedly required, what it said. And then I get there, and the commissioner's like, I can't believe you don't have your San Antonio tuxedo. I'm like, well, Tim, I didn't know it was allowed. It said I'm supposed to wear a tie today. So I tried to make a good impression with the new commissioner, and he was even expecting me to be in the San Antonio tuxedo.
See, there you go. I mean, you know what the rules are, and but you gotta go be you. I mean, you look good. Although I got to admit, when I was seeing some video coming from in there, at first I was like, "Who's that?" Oh, that was Coach Traylor. I mean, if you want to go incognito in this town, just go without a hat.
Well, in church on Sundays, it's so funny. It's amazing. About 100 people will look at me and give me that double look, like I think I know that guy, but I'm afraid to commit. And I don't have that cap on. It's like people are just terrified to say, is that him or not? If I have the cap on, everybody commits.
All right, Jeff, I've got to ask you, because you already mentioned the poll that has you guys second in the American. And I'm thinking, well, it could be first, second, I guess is okay. But how do you feel about polls like that? Now, do you take any stock in that kind of stuff?
Here's what I do, and I've done it as long as I've been a high school coach at Gilmer. There's not one thing this team has done to deserve that, because this team's done nothing yet, right? We have a lot of players on the team that have helped us do things. This is a reflection of what we've done the last 4 years. This is the UTSA Roadrunners being 29-4 in conference play the last 4 years. This is the UTSA Roadrunners that are 4 straight years have played to go to the championship game on the very last week of the season. Now, 2 times we did not get it done, and 2 times we did get it done, and we won our conference championship. This is the UTSA Roadrunners that are 23-3 at home the last 4 years. That's all that is. It's a tip of the hat to what our kids have done in the past. And I do believe it's a reflection of the current players on the roster that we haven't done anything this year. We have done nothing yet. We're living off the past greatness of those 4 seasons, in my opinion, which I'm very grateful for. I repeat, it's a heck of a lot better than being picked picked dead last like we were our first year when we were in Conference USA.
I'll say it. Dead ass last.
Dead
Here
ass
we
last.
go. Jeff Traylor joining us here on the Blitz. And as you say that, and I know, this year's team has got to develop its own identity.
Yes, sir.
Recruiting wise, this might be one of the best rosters you've had here, although there is a question mark at the quarterback position because for the first time in, I don't know, feels like 40 years, Frank Harris isn't going to be the quarterback, right? You've got quite a quarterback battle, I would imagine, that's taken and been going through the spring. I know I'm going to guess you're not going to commit to a quarterback on July 23rd, but can you give us an update on how that battle is going?
Well, I think the great thing about coaching Frank Harris was he was such an unbelievable competitor. He never passed up a shot. He always found a way to win the game. But the bad thing about coaching Frank Harris, he was an unbelievable competitor. He never passed up a shot, and he always found a win a game. So what did that mean? He was injured quite a bit. He had to miss a lot of playing time. So there are not many quarterbacks in the country competing for a starting job where each one of those kids played 6 quarters exactly last year. Eddie played 6 quarters. Owen played 6 quarters. Both had success. Both had struggles. But we feel confident if either one of those kids are at quarterback, the Roadrunners have a chance to win. I do think early in the year, of our first 5 games, 3 are on the road. They're all 3 very tough opponents. We're going to have to play really good defense early, run the football well early, to allow either one of those kids to develop. Frank was not great early. I mean, early, if you remember our first year, we won some 22-21s. We won some 17-14s. We were not always the offensive scoring juggernaut that we've kind of become because it takes time to develop. And I think we're going to play good team football early to have a chance against Texas State, University of Texas, East Carolina on the road.
Yeah, let me ask you about that game, Coach, because I know I'm excited about it, and you know this. I think I've told you. I went to Texas State, but I've quickly come over to the other side. Although I still have some great feelings about the Bobcats. That game should be on the Roadrunner schedule every year, and I think it's a rivalry that I would love to see developed. How do you feel about something like that?
Well, I wish GJ wasn't the coach because I love him so much. He was my quarterback at Gilmer, has been well talked about many, many times. I wish I wouldn't have given the AD and the president such a resounding vote of confidence. And what a great job he would have done. He's been a pain in my tail, honestly. But I think it's going to be an unbelievable game, unbelievable environment, a lot of fun. I do think they're on the schedule for the next 8 or 9 years. I believe that's right, Joe. I'm not sure about that. But anytime your fans can drive to the game. If there's anything I would criticize about college football, the local games that are gone are sad. It's really great that we still play Rice. We still play North Texas. We still play Texas State. Any game you can drive to, even though I'm not fired up about playing the Horns, honestly, you can at least drive to the game, which will be great for both teams involved.
Jeff Traylor joining us here on the Blitz as we get ready to start this upcoming season. Be fun having you back on the radio every week talking about the games week in and week out and just talking about the state of college football. And I think about where UTSA football was when you arrived and where it is now, from the respect that your program has earned with winning to what we're seeing with all the NIL donations, I guess is the right word, people writing checks and watching this program grow. This offseason, do you ever take time to, I know you journal a lot, but reflect and think how quickly this program has grown into what it is?
It's a miracle. But if you remember the very first day I started here, I said your dreams should always be so large. Your prayer life has to match it. So when the dreams come true, no human can take credit for it. Only the Lord can. It's been a miracle from Harvey, Najim, to Bob Wills, to Martin Salinas, to April Ansira, to Pat Klein, so I can keep naming so many more. I should have never even started naming that list. But every time I get in a bind, somebody bails me out. Our media has been more than supportive and more than helpful in so many ways. And it's been a great ride. I think it's just getting started. I think we will continue to ascend. Am I concerned, Jason, about the difference between now that we can profit share or we can share the revenue with the kids? What does that look like? Dr. Compost, and I know they're working on that to see what our plan is going to be. That's where the game's headed. I'll take my city against anybody else's city. I mean, I know we've got Horn fans, we've got Baylor Bear fans, we've got Aggie fans in our city. but we are the team of San Antonio. And I'll put the city of San Antonio up against anybody else's city. We just got to keep educating people, keep making it a win-win for both people. So nobody is just pay for play. Nobody likes that. But the idea that you might could invest into a young man, help him get through these 4 years of college, us win a bunch of ball games, and then, hey, you develop a relationship and maybe you hire that young man to work for your company one day, knowing he's been trained by Jeff Traylor in the triangle of toughness for the last 4 to 5 years, knowing the kind of human you're going to get, like Frank Harris right now working at Documentation. Ask those guys how great of a dang employee that kid is. Ask my guys that are working anywhere in the city that hire my guys how pleased they are to hire my kids. And I think it's a win-win for everybody if we'll just look at it, the new way of playing college football.
When you say that, Coach, and you think about NIL is here, you were asked about, is the game under attack? JJ Perez tweeted out earlier today that you had said during one of the interviews you were doing up there at Media Day that you had a player offered $675,000 in NIL this offseason, but that player decided to stay at UTSA. How do you convince a player, or did you have to convince that player to say no to $675,000?
No, I told Crazy Joe Evans he should take that money and get out of here. And he was literally like, Coach, what am I going to do in this particular city? He's like, I want to stay and play for you. I'm going to play in the National Football League anyway. I'm not going to do it. And now the offer started at like $300 at lunch, and by $500 at about 5 o'clock, and by 10 that night it was at $675 to $650, wherever it ended up being. But he stayed and played. Look at Oscar Cardenas. I mean, he makes a couple $1,000s a month staying and playing for me. That's all we can pay him. Joe Evans doesn't make much different than that. They'll stay for fractions on the dollar, but we've got to at least get enough in their pocket to give them. I'll give the analogy. I've been offered a few jobs, Jason, for more money than what I make at UTSA. But UTSA pays me enough that it's not worth me moving to go get that amount of money. We just got to move our NIL to the point where our guys that love the city, they love playing for me, they love winning championships, they'll stay and they're still taken care of. I doubt we'll ever be able to pay $22 million a year. But I do think we can move the needle enough that we'll keep all of our local players around and want to play for us for years. And then we can hire them. Our city just keeps getting better. It's a win-win for everybody.
Jeff, it brings up a great point, what you just said. We concentrate on NIL. We concentrate on the amounts of money that some of these players are making and the transfer portal and all that. How much of it, though, still comes down to a player's just their heart wanting to play for a certain coach or a certain city or a certain team? Is there still the majority of players like that?
Well, yeah, we've only lost 3, and we're not paying the money these guys are offering them. But where I feel bad, Joe, to be very honest with you, I feel like we're kind of shortchanging these kids a little bit. They do deserve to make a little bit more than that. I really feel that way. I think Joe Evans, Frank Harris, Oscar Cardenas, those guys have done more than what they are getting paid. Now, the story's not out there enough about all the kids that stay and play for the right reasons, right? Because the story's always about the guy that leaves. And then for some reason, we don't tell the story about how they don't make it sometimes, how they never get to play. And because you know how that is with sensationalism and clicks and what we're trying to get done there. But I do like to celebrate the Jamal Liggins. I mean, Owen McCowan, Eddie Lee Marburger. There's probably not 2 quarterbacks in the country making least money than them. And I promise those 2 kids are better than most of the quarterbacks in the country.
Well said. Jeff Traylor, head football coach of the UTSA Roadrunners. Media days going on. Football season will be here before you know it. Coach, before we let you go, on a personal side, your son was involved in a national story last week. There is a reporter for NBC, Jake, working the assassination attempt of Donald Trump. I know you had a statement right after. I imagine by now you've had a chance to talk to him a little bit about what was really going on. What can you share with us about Jake's experience?
Well, today's his birthday, first of all. My man turned 27 today. When it happened, I heard about it like everybody else. He was kind enough to text all of our family and say, I'm okay. And that's really all he said. So we at least knew he was okay. Then I talked to him about midnight, and he kind of went through all of it with me. I did not know that Rachel Scott was the lead correspondent for ABC. I did not know that he dove on top of her to protect her. I didn't know someone filmed it. I didn't know Rachel Scott put it out and thanked my son for protecting her. Who wouldn't be proud as a dad? And unfortunately, in our country nowadays, that's something I would think anybody would do, but that's pretty celebrated. And I commend him for doing it. But at the same time, I would hope anybody's child would protect someone else. And I would say he was more shook up about the way people spoke to the media than he was maybe. Obviously, whenever you see something like that with bullets and those kind of things going around, it's scary. But he was in media. And I've said this to you guys before. It's with my son being in the media now. I've always been good to media, but I'm even more careful and kind to the media now because I know my son's one of you guys.
He's one of us.
That's good. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, we're happy about that. Well, we're proud of him. I just want you to know that because we talked about it when that happened, and honestly, it didn't surprise me or Jason for that matter, and I'm sure it didn't surprise you either that he did such a heroic thing.
He's a neat kid. Everybody thinks that Jordan and I are the ones that are exactly alike because Jordan loves ball so much. But Jordan's more like his mother, honestly. Jake and I are way more alike, other than he's a lot braver than his father, for sure. We've already shown that. But him and I are way more alike in his love for politics, his love for the Lord, his love for people, his love for our country. It'll be interesting to see where Jake ends up, whether it's media, whether it's some type of political, whether it's some type, who knows? I really have no idea where that kid's going to end up. But wherever it is, he'll be for America, and he'll be for the Lord, and he'll be for his family. I know that.
Well, and what I know is he turned 27 today. Mine turns 26 in a month and is off the insurance. And as a parent, that's kind of one of those first steps. You're off the insurance. You're on your own, right?
Preach. That's some more money back in our pockets.
Exactly. Coach, I know you got a busy schedule up there in Dallas for Media Day. Appreciate you jumping on with us this afternoon.
Hey, I miss hearing y'all's voices. I'm glad y'all are back. It makes it time for football. Appreciate y'all. God bless. Birds up.
God bless. Birds up. And yes, hearing your voice, Coach Traylor. Football is back.
God, great to hear from him. That's what I like about Traylor is you can ask him anything and he'll answer you.
Yep.
He's got an opinion and he's not shy about sharing it. I love that.
Jeff Traylor on the Buyers Barricades guest line, where they provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond. Online at buyersbarricades.com.